it's Lauren Moraski, and you're watching Build Series live in New York City. You know this next band from their hits Out of My League, The Walker, and Hand Clap. Last fall, the Los Angeles six-piece released All the Feels, their fourth studio album, and now they're out on tour behind it. Please put your hands together for Michael Fitzpatrick and Noelle Skaggs of Fitz and the Tantrums.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to Build. We're so excited to have you here today.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, man, you're busy. You're on the road right now. You're seeing this album come to life on stage. How's it been going so far?
It's great. You know, when you make a record, you're kind of in a dark room, just working, toiling away. You put it out in the world. And for us, it's really when we go out on the road and we play in front of our fans that you really get to reap the rewards of all that music. And you finally see the connection that the music has with your fans, seeing them sing every word. So that's where it gets really exciting for us.
You're known for your energetic shows. I mean,
yes, we are.
Yes.
Your guys are on fire. What's it like, Noelle, to pull that together and get on stage? And where do you get that energy from?
I mean, you know, we've been doing this together for 11 years. You know, we've grown together as a unit, and we really feed off of one another. But what we feed off most is the crowd. You know, that's what really keeps us going on stage. So we've been pulling each other to really always be making that crowd the seventh member of the band anytime we possibly can, because it's so much fun. You know, we're not a shoegazing band. Our music doesn't speak in that way as well. We're very energetic, lively, you know, six of us, all of us, very energetic. So we always want everybody to have a good time. We ask for joy when we get on that stage, and that's what we get back.
You're probably feeding off of one another too, and
Absolutely.
For sure.
And you've been playing together for 12 somewhat years now, right? I mean, can you talk about that connection and how that really channels to the live show?
Yeah, well, I think, the thing is that all of us had been in bands before Fitz and the Tantrums, and it's hard to find that right pairing of people that make great music together, have enough talent, have enough drive, all mesh together, and there was just this magic from the very first rehearsal.
Very beginning.
We played one song in that rehearsal space, and I left the room, and I went and booked us a show for a week later. I came in, I said, guys, we're playing next week, and they're like, we've played one song. I was like, well, we better get to work. And from those very first shows, there was just this magic that was happening. You know, early days, we got offered opening up for Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings. Then we got offered this amazing tour opening up for Maroon 5. And we just kind of have not stopped since that time. And that pairing, a lot of credit I can say for myself as a performer goes to Noelle. Noelle came also from a hip-hop background, She really was so well-versed in getting the crowd going. And I was just kind of early days just playing catch-up. But we noticed the more we kind of pushed each other, it's almost like a friendly competition between us. Who's going to dance harder and get the audience to clap harder for us? And it's that infinity loop that Noelle talks about. The more we give to the audience, the more they give back. And it's just like a pressure cooker.
Love that. I love hearing about how you guys started and how you had that magic from the get-go. And you mentioned Maroon 5. I mean, I feel like they were big proponents of you, big fans of you from the beginning. How did that change the game? Because I feel like they grabbed you on tour and the rest was history.
Well, I mean, we were introduced to an audience that we may not have ever seen.
Nationwide, from local to nation.
Yeah, so having that be your very first big experience traveling with a band that was that huge, they're still huge till this day, but playing in front of an audience that was younger, that were also avid fans of music listening in general, and they were super, super excited about learning about a new band that they wanted to continue to follow. So we gained a lot of fans from that, and a lot of fans that follow us. We call them super fans, but we gained a lot of dedicated fans from that, and they're still with us now, and they're still telling people about Fitz and the Tantrums.
That's awesome. I love hearing that. Okay, you have 4 albums now. You're playing an hour-and-a-half show, whatever it is, each night. How do you navigate, the set list? Is it all in, all 6 of you kind of navigate, or Fitz or Noelle, are you picking it?
I think it's been pretty easy because, and that's one of the great things when you have 4 albums. When we first went out on that Maroon 5 tour, we barely had 1 album. We didn't have even enough songs to play a whole headlining set. We had to throw in a couple covers in there just to. Nowadays, we have have too many songs to pick from, but
It's like, what are we gonna cut?
but they're road tested, you know, and we know what songs resonate. And like we just brought back a song from our second album, 6 a.m. in the live set. So we play a smattering of all the greatest hits from all the albums.
That's awesome. Well, let's speak about the new album. It came out last fall. It's awesome. It has 17 tracks on it, quite a few
Yes.
tracks, but they're all really good. What did you set out to do this time around?
I
Tell real stories.
Yeah.
We really wanted to tell authentic stories that were based upon things that we go through and things that we see in the world, you know. I think like really talking about anxiety and the pressures of, you know, being a human being nowadays and still finding empathy, you know, in a world where everybody's on their phones and you're very disconnected. We really wanted to make sure that this album spoke about the truths that are going on in the world that have to do with vulnerability. And
still somehow make you want to dance. And that's the thing, because people know us for that. So even like I Just Want to Shine for the video, the verse starts out, good night stress, I'll see you in the morning. I don't got to guess. I know you'll always be there for me. And that just is really, you know, I think everybody deals with anxiety and stress like that, you know, but the chorus is almost like a pep talk to yourself or the antidote to that, you know. I'm going to overcome that no matter what. And I feel like today, now more than ever, we need those positive messages in the world, you know, and all the time we get fans coming up to us and saying, thank you for putting some positive energy out into the world.
I love that, because mental health, anxiety, all those things are so important to talk about.
Absolutely.
It's hard for that to be translated into song. I mean, how do you navigate
and one
that?
you can dance
and
to.
one that you can dance to, but you've been able to achieve that on all the feels. What's your strategy behind that songwriting and, you know, kind of making yourself vulnerable to talk about that stuff that's happening for both of you?
Well, I think you have to. If you're going to write something that resonates with people, you got to deal with what you're experiencing in life. And we've all had our own personal journeys with stress, depression, all those things. Being on the road is a very weird lifestyle to live. It's a very disconnected world. You're isolated. You're never in one place at the same time. It's a lot of times easy to feel like you're floating in space with no moorings, nothing to hold on to.
I think also it's, you know, really easy to get trapped in sadness. You know, you can write really sad love songs, but
You do love a sad love song.
I love a sad love song. That's normally where I start. You know, but like I think finding the balance, you know, finding the balance of what we do, which is juxtaposition. We've always been involved in making sure that the music had an uplifting spirit, even if the lyrics were heavy. And I think in the world today, there's balance, you know, so I think that's another part of being honest and authentic to yourself. Is understanding, yes, I do have sad days, but I also have these moments of clarity and elatedness, and these are the things that I want to talk about to balance those truths. You know, there's so many stigmas on mental health, you know, but yeah, you can have a bad day, and that's fine, you know, and there's nothing wrong with you for having that, you know, knowing that you have people in the world that are connected to you in that way, but also lifting themselves out of that is amazing, and that's really something that we wanted to do. That's why the record is called All the Feels.
I love that, because it's something to celebrate too, because nowadays with social media you could feel super connected, but you could also feel disconnected at even more
It's a
so.
false sense of connection.
Yeah, false sense of connection, 100%. So it's
I had this crazy experience where I've been following this old friend, actually from when I used to live here in New York. I've been following her for years. She's a photographer. Her career's blown up. I see her last year. I was like, you're doing everything you wanted. It's cool. And she's like, so what's up with you? And I'm like, I have 3 kids now. Like, I realized I've been following her for several years. She hadn't been following me. And I felt connected to her. She had no idea what was going on, but I wasn't really connected. I was just looking at pictures of her life.
Sure, yeah. It's so easy to just breeze through and swipe and everything. Yep, exactly. You mentioned your 3 kids. Life is different now. You're a father of 3 boys. Do they?
3 boys. Pray for me.
Yeah. Do they come out on the road with you? What's that like?
They do. They came out this summer for one of the tours, and actually we're on a 6-week run right now, and they flew out here to New York. We just played in Long Island last night, and they came out to the show, and those moments are so few and far between that they're really special. My oldest
they're so much fun.
A 6-year-old is the oldest one, and he brought him out, you know, he always wants to come out and dance for the last song, so we brought him out on stage. It's it's really great to see him looking up and being like, oh, wow, this is what you do, Dad?
It's pretty cool, right? I mean, at this point, he probably thinks you're very cool. And for you, I know that you do a lot with blogging with travel and food. Have you been able to keep up with that on the road?
Yeah. I actually turn my food and travel blog is called Adventures with Skaggs, and it's really about my life. You know, it all started with my journey on the road and forgetting where I'd been, but recognizing that all of the places that I remembered were places that I found spots to eat and met these really cool people along the way and learned about all these neighborhoods and stuff. So that's that keeps me going on a, gives some normalcy to my life, because we live a very abnormal lifestyle in this touring thing. But I bring my dog out. She's not with me right now.
I know,
she
we're all
normally would
sad
be
in the
sitting up
band.
here on the stage, like hanging out, like going up and talking to everybody and stuff. But yeah, I decided to leave her back in LA. Yeah.
Well, next time you have to bring the dog.
Absolutely.
What's her or his name?
Her name's Marley.
Marley. Oh, dogs are the best. Kids
She's
are
the
very
sweetest.
best too. So it's cool. It's like really a family affair. But I mean, 6 of you, how do you, like when you're putting together an album like this, how do you ensure that everyone has a say, that everyone feels like they're a part of making this record?
Well, I mean, that's always the challenge, but I think what we've done also, especially the last 2 records, is we've written something like 80 or 100 songs for each record. And I think part of the mistake that a lot of artists that have had some success is they think that everything they do is great. And I don't know if we're just extra hard on ourselves, but we don't settle and we just keep writing and writing, and the cream rises to the surface. The good songs speak over time, and then they kind of start to tell you, because you don't know what a record's going to be about at first. And then as you dive into it and the writing and you peel back the layers of the onion, all of a sudden it's like, okay, now we have starting to have a body of work, and these songs are feeling really good, and oh, this is the message. And then we wrote the song All the Fields, and it was like instantly we knew that's going to be the title of this next record.
And I think it's trust as well. You're in a band for as long as we have been. We really trust each other. We respect each other's opinions and stuff. And, if there's something that's like we're all adamant, like, I don't think that should go on the record, then we'll power through it and throw it out. But yeah, I think it's really trusting each other.
That's important. What would you say? Would you say that it's gotten easier or harder with the songwriting? As time has gone on. Harder, yeah. Why so? Is it like just like the creative ideas, creative juices, or you put more pressure?
I just think that songwriting is at one of the best places it's ever been. The level of craftsmanship, many people can just write a song, but can you write a song that you hear once and you cannot get out of your head? That is something
that stands the test of time. As well.
It's so hard to do, and that's also why we write so many songs, because those magic lightning in a bottle moments happen very far and few between. But we've all dedicated our lives to the craft of being better artists, better songwriter, and I feel like 4th album now, we're kind of in our best stride yet.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's extra pressure in some ways because your last album had, the biggest hit to date for you when you got into writing mode? Does that kind of stop you too?
I would probably say the 3rd album for me in particular was the hardest record we've done, mostly because of the fact that we had taken a break. We had done something that we had never done before. When we wrote the 2nd record, we literally went from touring for like 2 years, and we took like maybe a week and a half break, and then Fitz and I just went straight into the studio, and there was so much vibe of all of the experiences that we had on the road. But then like settling into the 3rd record, we were like, okay, what are we going to write about now? And it became this more of a challenging moment, and discovering what it was that we were connected to at the time. I think for this 4th record, it became a little bit easier because it was like, oh, no, I'm going to just be honest.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because,
and ultimately,
what do we have to lose? You know what I mean?
You have to put that, there's always a little bit of that monkey on your back, whether it's you doing it to yourself or the record label or managers being like, is that the next hand clap? I'm like, look, we didn't try to write hand clap when we wrote hand clap. So you just got to do your best to push that to the side and just make music that you're feeling.
Right. Make something that you're proud of, and then it'll
Exactly.
translate to the audience.
Exactly.
100%. You've written some songs on your own too. You've put out some solo stuff.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I put out a song called Great For You with some friends of mine in this group called Braves that's based out of Los Angeles, really talented individuals. And it was just something I really wanted to like do for myself, you know, like I've been, you know, traveling with this lovely individual for so long, and I just felt like I had something to say. The song, you know, was getting support, and we threw it out there, and people seem to love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's good to channel like those other options and avenues in life.
Absolutely.
100%.
So, you know, we talked a little bit about success and, you know, what does that mean to you all? Like, what does that mean to you when you think about success?
Well, you know, before this band, you know, for myself personally, I busted my butt for 10 years, couldn't get arrested in the music business, finally had this break. Every dream has come true. And it's not like the modified dream. It's exactly the dream that I laid in bed as a kid thinking about has come true. And what I've found over the journey of this 10 years is it's like you set a flagpole in the distance, you get to it, you don't feel satisfied by it. So you keep moving the bar. Okay, I want an independent record deal. I want a major, I want a hit song on the radio. I want to sell 1 million songs. And we've hit all those marks. And then you get there and you're like, wait, this isn't doing what I thought it was going to do. And I think there's that cheesy adage that is like, it's not the destination, it's the journey. Sure. And I think I spent a good first couple years of this band just looking at the horizon and not experiencing the moment and appreciating the moment. And in the last few years, I've really like tried to cultivate the moment of presence in that moment on stage. I always try and take a beat where I just breathe and I look out and I appreciate what is happening, because it has been such an incredible journey for us. We've gotten to do everything we've ever wanted to, toured the world, you know, and I think that has been the secret sauce, is really being present and appreciating the moment and not worrying about like the next,
Right.
the next.
Yeah, I think for me is discovering that my career path has inspired other women to do things that they never thought that they would do until they saw me doing it. That's been a joy for me, because I didn't recognize the impact that I was having on other people in the world outside of the creative process. You know, people that are inspired to go and become managers for bands, or, you know, to learn about the publishing side. Because for me, when I talk about business, I talk about knowing your commodity and understanding the world that you're getting involved in. It goes way beyond just the songwriting and the fame and all of the things. There's some back end that you have to know about, and you know,
Protect yourself.
Yeah, to protect yourself. And I've discovered there's a lot of young women in my life that were incredibly inspired by my career, and these are friends of mine that I, you know, had no idea I had that impact on. They go to my house and my barbecues and, you know, stuff like that. But I've been discovering that has been something that I've done for people, and I think that's given me a lot more purpose in my career. And it's just outside of, you know, it's always been outside of what I can do. You know, it's like, who am I touching? So yeah, I've discovered that.
That's awesome, especially as a woman in the music business.
Yeah,
and I
absolutely.
think people get into it like, oh, you're a creative person, but there's a lot of business that comes with it, and you can easily get taken for a ride. In
Absolutely.
business. So it's really nice to have a role model here that's, you know, telling people like,
Absolutely.
hey, you know, to take care of yourself.
It's pretty cool to be seen as, you know, I don't, you know, aspire like, oh, be that, but it's nice to know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, okay, so you're on the road. Tell me about the rest of this year. Like, are you writing on the road? You have 80 songs. Like,
We never write on the road.
Okay.
Because
Sleep
we're doing a
matters.
show, we're visiting every radio station, we're doing interviews, and this is the thing that people might not know. When you're the singers, it's not like sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It's basically like hydration, sleep, naps, sing some more, sleep, rest when you can, because those are really, water and sleep are the only two things. I mean, you can hear my voice. It's sounding real scratchy right now.
Your first year, you're
you
like...
party a lot, and then you're like...
and then you can't breathe.
But yeah, we're on this winter tour, the All the Feels winter tour. We're going to go to Europe right after this. Then I think we're about to announce pretty soon here, we're going to be back on the road this summer, which is super exciting. You know, for us, that is where we live. That's how we built our brand. How people got to know us is by the live show we do, because it's extraordinary what we do live. You know, it's just a fun time. And for us, you know, we want people to experience our show and to experience these new songs. So for the near future, we're out on the road just spreading the gospel of Fitz and the Tantrums.
I love it. All right, on that note, I'm going to turn to some audience questions out here. Let's get to it. Who's first? Right here.
Well, thanks. I've been a fan since I first saw you at the Mercury Lounge, 2010.
Oh, wow.
That is maybe one of our first shows ever.
So thank you. You touched on it a bit, but you found success later in your life. I mean, I think even at one point you said you were close to giving up, or...
Oh, I had given.
So I'm curious how you finding success later in life has sort of affected you, your band, your music, you personally, versus finding it if you'd found it right off the bat early on.
I mean, I'm grateful that, you know, this band didn't blow up when I was 21, because I would have probably been a total jerk at that point in my life. And I think having to really struggle for it for so many years is that when it finally comes, it's so much sweeter. And there's a deep sense of appreciation, I think, for all of us in the band. We know what a gift this is. You know, so I don't think we ever take that for granted. So I think that that has been one of the great assets about it coming a little later.
Thanks. Great question. All right, we have time for one more question.
Hey, y'all.
Hi.
So I love the album. I'm obsessed.
Thank
I
you.
need to know, what was your inspiration behind the cover artwork design?
Oh, wow. Okay, so normally when we're going through the process, I'm a very visual person. For me, like, say, for me, I know a song is done when I can visualize the music video, or like where it's going to go directionally. I'm a Pinterest freak, and I happened to stumble upon this amazing artist named Tyler Spangler. And
Yes,
I've been
God.
following him for a while, and you know, I would send these Pinterest over to Fitz and stuff, and he's like, "We should hit this guy up and see if he can do a record art for us."
Well, and I've just felt like
found this great piece.
It really is thanks to Noelle that she found Tyler, because to me, this album cover might be my favorite one we've ever done. It's hurts my eyes to look at in the best way. You know, he's just, he just mixes these different mediums together, and I felt like it's just something you couldn't stop looking at, even though you might not want to.
Yeah, it really matches the vibe of the energy as well. I think, you know, overall, like, we're a loud band, you know, like you look at us on stage and we're as vibrant as this cover art is. So there you go.
That's a great way to end our chat today. Everyone, thank you so much, Noelle and
Thank
Fitz.
you.
for coming
Thank
by.
you.
The album's out. Catch them on tour. Give it up one more time for Fitz and the Tantrums, everyone.
Thank you so much, everybody.